everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Adar. They need to work on naming titles, man. But, overall, I really enjoyed this one, and I've been happy with the consistency and the overall quality that we've been getting so far. Now, granted, we're 3 episodes in out of 8. I do think this one was like 70 minutes or whatnot, and I don't mind that, but you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, you're doing a lot of shit, and I understand what you're trying to do, but sometimes you gotta, like, get a better kind of pacing and flow. Even though I liked the stuff that was going on in here, Galadriel's and Hallbrand's was, like, the one that I liked the best out of this. Nori's was kind of the... I hate to say the worst one out of it, because it wasn't really bad. It just kind of was spinning its wheels kind of before we got to the point where we actually started moving the wheels. Arendir's was nice to get us the kind of understanding of what's kind of going on with the orcs and Sauron's forces. However, there were some leaps that were taken that I needed at least a little bit more connective tissue or understanding of how that happened, because he was not the only one taken prisoner. Like, his commander and the other elf dude that he was, like, going around with were captured as well somehow. I'm just like, how? Like, we'd seen them pretty much up in the other lady's town, and that this town had disappeared, but I didn't see that there was any kind of way that, like, they got snatched because they were pulling out. It was weird. So, let us go with Nori's first, then Arondir's, and then Galadriel's and Hallbrand's. Nori, yeah. So, Nori is pretty much still trying to attempt to help the stranger and everything. We see this whole thing of this ritual of those that were left behind, and that I'm thinking, okay, I understand that with the caravan. Like, some people died in humorous ways, some people for, like, stupidity, and they kind of get through their grief that way, but then others were, like, really sad and whatnot, but seeing how they kind of, like, try and keep going forward through it. And we see that Dory is trying to understand the star charts. She goes to, like, the head dude that we've been seeing with those star charts. She has a funny kind of thing where her friend tries to distract the dude while she's trying to get it. She gets it, she shows it to the stranger, and he's, like, looking at it, and he accidentally lights it on fire. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna light on fire. He's gonna go a little bit nutty. And then everyone's like, holy shit, Nora, you brought this dude in. Normally you'd be exiled for this, but no, we're just gonna put your family at the back, which is pretty much exile with extra steps. However, we get the understanding from Nori that, like, you help your friends out. It's like, damn, it's the thing, because the stranger kind of helps them because the father's having trouble because his fucked up foot. And it's kind of cool because he does help. He's like, Nori, friend. And she's like, yes, we'll help each other. That's the whole thing. That's how you get through that shit. So I do like that message, but it's just, that's kind of all that kind of happened in the episode with that kind of thing. So we'll kind of see how it kind of goes going forward, how they catch up with the caravan, if they break off from the caravan, and what kind of works out with that. Because it might be a setting up that Nori will be pivotal in the founding of the Shire or whatnot, potentially, since this is more of a nomadic group of hobbits at this point. But I still liked it because I'm like, okay, Nori's doing the right things here, and I understand trying to protect your people, but this dude needs help, and he could do some weird, crazy-ass shit, and he's got to be here for a reason. I mean, he fell from the fucking sky and was able to, like, control and do some weird shit. So we'll see kind of what kind of goes on with that. Arondir's, we learned he has pretty much been captured by the orcs, and that they're pretty much capturing people to build tunnels because they get harmed by sunlight. We don't really see that much happening in the Lord of the Rings series. We do see it kind of with the Hobbit, with, like, goblins and whatnot. See, that's the thing that I kind of need some help with sometimes, of, like, I knew that the goblins had, like, an aversion to sunlight, and that they get burned by it or whatnot. Trolls get turned to stone. I didn't know the amount that, like, orcs and whatnot, or Uruk-hai, get, like, harmed by sunlight or whatnot. So I'm like, okay. And Arondir then finds that his commander and his buddy got captured as well, and they're trying to figure out pretty much how to escape. And they then pretty much are forced by the orcs to pretty much, like, chop down this tree. They're like, can we just go the fuck around? It's like, no, we gotta kill this tree. And of course, that's a big fucking no-no for the elves, because they're pretty much worship trees and all that kind of stuff. Not just basically, I mean, pivotal parts of their lore for Valinor and everything is the tree and everything like that. That's why they want to fight Morgoth and take that shit down. So we then see that Arondir's like, fine, I'll fucking do it, and goes up, like, kind of apologizes to it in Elfish, and then starts going at it. It doesn't really do much, because it then kind of progresses, because we keep flipping back and forth to certain kind of things, and they then pretty much try to escape, and they then, of course, set the warg on them, and Arondir kind of like keeps that out, but he has well, they do want to, they are thinking of one kind of thing, but then the one dude gets killed by one of the orcs, and then the war gets unleashed. And I do like the fine line that they thread of like showing some of the gore, but not making it a complete focus and making it like Game of Thrones bloody disgusting kind of thing. Because the one dude gets his throat slit, and it's not like complete gushing blood and whatnot, and he dies. And then people get like ripped by the warg and everything, but it's not focused on and done completely nutty. Warg also looks really good and really interesting looking. It's kind of similar to what we see from the Lord of the Rings kind of series, but it's its own kind of take, and the effects are very good. Like, it works well enough with the fusion of the actual people and what's kind of going on. And Arondir does some like cool ass shit, since he's kind of like chained up with this chain thing and pretty much keeping it in this kind of cage branches, like the roots of the tree. And the thing is, his superior is able to kind of get out, and he's trying to get up. He's like, I gotta get to the tree line. Arondir kind of gets up to there, but we see that he gets taken out by arrows, and then the rest of the orcs are pretty much beating him as Adar is brought forward, and this is also one of the other names of Sauron. So we'll see what Sauron, or this could be just like some other head person or whatnot, because Sauron could also does misdirection and everything with like who's doing what, using other lackeys as well. But this will kind of be interesting, because I think it's pointing more towards actually showing Sauron, because he has similar kind of gauntlets that we've seen in previously. So, ooh. So there's movement in there, a little bit kind of weird. Understand that they're building tunnels to make sure that the orcs' forces can like go to certain other places, but this then lines up more with Galadriel stuff as she was rescued. Elendil is this captain of the ship, rescues her and Halbrand and takes them to Numenor. And this was another great kind of showing of the effects and everything, showing it having things of like Minas Tirith from Gondor, and I had to look up what was going on. And Elendil is the father of Isildur, who is pivotal in the taking down of Sauron and then taking the ring, and of course doing the line of leading eventually to Aragorn. Because I looked into it, and Elendil eventually leaves Numenor with like the fall and sets up the other kingdoms of men, mainly like Gondor. And it's like, okay, cool, so this is the kind of stuff that we're seeing. And this is kind of broken up with Galadriel kind of getting in there with Halbrand and being brought forth to the Queen Regent Muriel, and that evidently Numenor was given to men for them helping out the elves, but evidently elves have been like kicked out and of Numenor, and I don't know why. They've got like, they're like, screw the elves. It's like, no, we bought this with blood, and like Galadriel's like, really? Okay. And they're both being kind of like proud pricks about this kind of shit, and it's like, fuck off. Galadriel pretty much almost gotten into her position to be like, screw this kind of shit. She just wants a ship to go fight Sauron. And it's like, I get that. That single-mindedness is going to fuck you over at some point, though. Well, technically, you could argue that she has been fucked over with that kind of shit already, but it's like, Halbrand's like, hold on, we'll stay here for a couple days, and we'll be good. Halbrand just wants to pretty much settle here and, like, do his own kind of shit. Galadriel's like, I need out. And then she's pretty much already plotting to, like, get out and everything, but then Elendil is pretty much tasked with pretty much following her around. He's like, you could steal that, but you'd probably not get out of the harbor. She's like, I'll do this myself, man. And she's like, I got my... Then he, like, drops that he's got, like, a Hall of War, and she's like, let me go see that. And then we get him, like, doing, like, cinematic shots of, like, riding horses. They get in there, they're looking at everything. The master of the Hall of War is able to find the symbol, and we get the understanding that it is not a symbol but a map of the Southlands. So she's got to go to Halbrand and be like, I got to figure out what's going on with that, because they had gotten writings from a human that was captured by their forces at some point, I think. It was really kind of weird how it was phrased, but she read the black speech of everything that was kind of going on. I was like, this is where they want to build a place of evil, building of Mordor. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. So she then tries to go hook up with Halbrand. Halbrand tries to pretty much do his trade of like smithing or whatnot, and the thing is, he's like, I'll do all this. He's like, you gotta get your seal thing. And then these other people are like, oh, you're here drinking our food and everything like that, probably trying to take our women. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, he just got here from a shipwreck. And he got rescued, and he probably either just wanted to, like, prove himself to be able to stay here, or, like, do other things. It was like, God damn, slow your shit. But then Halbrand's like, fuck this, you're being an asshole, I'll take your seal thing. And then the guys are like, nope, we're gonna beat your ass. And then he's like, I ain't doing that shit. And he breaks this one dude's arm. It's like, God damn. Like, they showed it. It's like, fuck me. So he beat their asses and then pretty much gets thrown in jail. And Galadriel's like, nah, you are supposed to be the king of the Southlands with that sigil, because I saw that sigil before. He's like, no king, I'm not doing that shit. Fuck it. But she's like, help me take this shit and stop this shit. I'm like, alright. And we also saw during this stuff that Isildur is like training to be like a sea captain? Sea guard person. Because Numenor is like the westernmost island. And theirs is a very kind of sea kind of culture thing. We see him kind of like helping out with the other cadets. This one dude pretty much gets like blasted off to the other end. And then kind of get brought back in. We see that Isildur's sister pops up. And then they pretty much have argument kind of thing going on with the father. Isildur isn't sure if he wants to be in the Sea Guard. Wants to see if he wants to do some other kind of stuff. Elendil's like, do you know what I had to fucking do? And, like, evidently I think there's, like, a brother that he's been talking to. And then his sister gets information that she can be, like, a scholar and everything, and that Isildur talked her into it, and he kind of leaves. So there's family squabbles kind of going on with there. And I don't mind it, but there's a lot of stuff going on with Galadriel and Halbrand, and we got Nori and the Hobbits, and we got Arondir and the Orcs, and it's like, okay, we'll kind of see how this kind of comes in. This is the seeds and the beginnings of it, so we'll kind of see what kind of goes on with it. But I overall enjoyed it. I was like, okay, we see that Galadriel's gotta get that shit under control. It's fine to have a goal and an objective to, like, help the people and everything, and to stop Sauron, but she is so self-centeredly focused on it, she doesn't know how to talk to people and understand people, and try and, not just bulldoze her way through certain things. It is an interesting kind of contrast to the Galadriel we see in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. However, we do see the seeds of that kind of person that would want to use that ring of power for her own purposes. And it helps to kind of paint more of a picture of why she would be tempted for the ring because of her brother and everything that she's endured in fighting Sauron and Morgoth. And Halbrand trying to, even though he does shit that wouldn't be considered right, he's got his own kind of issues and hang-ups, and I'm interested to see that kind of going forward. And I do like the seeds that were being planted for Elendil and Isildur. They'll probably help escort them and be pivotal in fighting Sauron and his forces. And we'll have to see how Arondir kind of factors into it as well, and what the hobbits and the stranger kind of factor in as well. The biggest thing is I do like each of the stories. I'm more interested to see how they intersect and where we're going to kind of end this, and what the kind of end game goal is for this. Are we how fast are we going to be moving? Are we going to have a confrontation with Sauron by the end of this? Are we going to be setting up the forging of the rings and all that kind of stuff and continue going on with certain seasons? Because even though I'm loving the production value and everything, this is expensive as shit. I do not know how they're making their money back with this thing at this point. That's going to be important to see how we get more kind of seasons out of this, and where the stories will kind of go and what the kind of effects will be. Because if they end this at the pivotal end of Sauron's defeat that ends pretty much the second age to set up the third age. We still got a lot to go for that, I think, unless they fucking bum rush shit like ain't nobody's business and do like time leaps and shit, because we'll have to see with that. 8 episodes is not enough for that. So I am excited to see where this stuff is kind of going. However, Isildur and Elendil being put into the 3rd episode, yeah, you still got kind of time. You got 5 more episodes to go, but it's kind of harder if you need more kind of players, because I don't know exactly all of the players that are important in the second age and getting to that point. I do know Elrond's important and Isildur's important, but we'll kind of have to see what goes on with that. So I was happy with this episode. I've been happy with the previous 2. We'll see kind of what goes on next and where this will go. So those are my opinions on this episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.